Hi Ultimate Gardeners, welcome back to the channel. My name is Emmanuel Arce. I am the 17th agriculturist here in Southern Florida, and in today's video I want to discuss with you all a few of my picks of the best fruit trees to grow here in Southern Florida, or fruit trees in general. So in this selection of plants, keep in mind that these trees are mainly towards tropical climates since I am in a subtropical area. And so these might be limited to specifically tropical fruit trees. However, this is not only able to grow in tropical or subtropical climates. These selection of trees will be able to extend to drought areas. They could also, some of them could extend over to cold areas. Totally depends on where you are and if they're able to grow in your area as well. These are just some overall trees that I like growing that specialize in tropical climates. So let's go ahead and go discuss about our very first one. Coming at number one are Lowquats. Lowquats are one of my favorites because they grow like wildfire here in South Florida. You'll see that the cities will actually plant Lowquat trees along the main roads because once they're in their peak fruiting season, they look like a lit up Christmas tree. It's the most breathtaking scene to see. So this plant is just amazing and prolific, and in my opinion, every Florida gardener or any gardener who's able to grow a Lowquat should grow them because you'll have harvest all year round when you have some heat and humidity around, and whenever they're in peak season, you will be harvesting bowlfuls of them. Coming at number two are Mulberries. Mulberries are prolific performers here in Southern Florida. And if you can see with this tree, we are loaded with mulberries on this plant. This plant is super easy to grow. It's low maintenance, not to mention the dozens of varieties they have of mulberries out there. And something I love about mulberries is that the snacking fruit is quite a decent size. So you don't need much of these to actually fill up and have a great tasting fruit snack. So something mulberries are great to be used in is like tarts, jams, etc. So mulberries are actually not as sweet as your other regular berries like blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. They're actually more on the more bitter side of things in my opinion. And so when they are perfectly ripe like this one, they're not going to be 100% sweet, but they're not going to be like distasteful bitter. And so this is just like a mild berry to eat. And this is something that lots of kids love because my business partner, because we're currently in her area, this is an area that I helped install and design. Her kids clean this tree off completely. So all in all, mulberries are one of my favorites because they're prolific performers. The canopy almost reminds me of a weeping willow, and it looks like a lit up Christmas tree like the Lowquat whenever they are full of fruit. Any fruit tree when they're in full glory looks like a lit up Christmas tree because you just see all these dots of color. Is just fascinating to me. So number three on my list has to be Sapadilla. So Sapadilla is actually part of the Sapote family, and one of the most common ones in the Sapote family is Mame, which is used a lot in Hispanic cultures. Sapadilla has made it to be one of my favorite fruits because of how flavorful it is. Sapadilla in general, the tree is so pretty and it's a prolific performer. This fruit was on here since the first time it started fleshing out fruit, but it's actually getting ready to push out new flower buds, and it has baby Sapadillas on it, which is just amazing and so fascinating to see how it's on a constant producing cycle. So Sapadillas are once again a low maintenance, sustainable fruit, and the way I could describe the taste of this fruit is a fleshy cinnamon fruit, which is so weird because it tastes like you're eating a fruit, but with lots of cinnamon in it. So if you're a huge cinnamon fan, then this is the tree for you. And so we have two here at our location here in Parkland, and they are producing like crazy, and they are a great snacking size. So if you want anything sweet, if you're craving anything but you want to stay away from anything that is like candy, this is the tree to go with because this is just a fascinating fruit that any kid, any person, any gardener would enjoy. Guavas are another prolific tree. Although something we all guava growers realize here in Southern Florida is that our trees does get heavily diseased with black mold or whitefly, but something I came to realize is that that does not affect the fruit, neither the overall performance of the tree. We have Ruby Supreme and Pink Barbie guavas all around, scattered around the nursery, and they all have disease on them. However, their fruit is so sweet and delicious, and my mom loves them. And so something to keep in mind is if you love to grow white guavas as well, keep them away from your pink guavas, because if they're grown in the same area, they will cross-pollinate and your white guavas will become pink guavas. And so if you want to keep them separate, make sure that they are a good distance away from each other. If not, they will cross-pollinate and they'll become pink. So guavas in general, they're low maintenance, although if you do not like to have disease, you would have to be out there constantly treating the tree. However, another thing is that the disease does not spread out to other trees, because that's what we realized. We have a Barbados cherry next to one of our pink guavas, and the Barbados doesn't have any of the black mold, neither whitefly. And so that is something to keep in mind, to not stress about. We don't stress about it, and yet we get delicious harvest. Next up are papayas. Papayas are a common tropical fruit to grow in South Florida. We have hundreds of papaya trees here at the nursery, and they all perform prolifically. Look at that. That is huge. And my mom loves papayas as well. And so something to keep in mind is that there's dozens of varieties for you to choose from, which is amazing. This is more of a ball-shaped papaya, but we also have long, skinny ones as well. And so papayas are low maintenance, easy to grow, they're prolific performers, and not to mention that their fruit tastes delicious in any type of smoothies or any type of like tarts or anything you would like to do. Mainly in smoothies though, which I know papayas eaten a lot, or just eaten fresh, which a lot of people do as well. Another amazing high performing fruit tree to grow in South Florida are mangoes. This is what you'll see if you ever visit Florida. You'll see hundreds and thousands of mangoes everywhere, because every homeowner has to have them. They are prolific performers. They come in dozens of varieties like ice cream, Julie, Edwards. They come in so many different varieties. And so all of the varieties that you may have, they are all prolific performers in general. They like to be in humidity. They like to be in heat. They will produce during June or in the beginning of year. This is just a perfect tree to grow in any occasion, whether it be in a pot with your dwarf varieties or in the ground with your more bigger varieties in general. So once again, this is another classic fruit tree to grow in general. This is just a perfect tree. Another great fruit tree to have in Southern Florida, bananas. Like every other fruit tree in this video, bananas always fit in my top list as well. Bananas come in hundreds of varieties like blue Java, variegated Florida variety. No, there are so many varieties of bananas out there that you can't even keep up with them. Not to mention how beautiful their canopies look, and when they are in full fruit or when they're in full peak season, they are just a great sight to see, not to mention they're delicious tasting bananas. All I gotta mention is here at the nursery, our bananas are super sweet and they are the best for snacking as well. I've actually thought on doing a banana bread sometime, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. So once again, bananas are the best to go with. Something that I would recommend is if you live in a tropical area, you're able to grow from your Cavendish, your shorter varieties, your taller varieties, doesn't matter. However, if you live in a more colder area that you don't have such a long growing season, because the taller banana is the longer it'll take to fruit. The shorter the banana, the less time it'll take to fruit. So if you live in a more colder area or you have a shorter growing season, and let alone if you want to grow them in a pot, I would go with a dwarf Cavendish variety, because those are quick producing and the canopy is a bit on the more shorter side and they're container friendly. So once again, bananas, I gotta fit this top list. So this tree right above me right here is called the Gummy Worm tree. Well, because it produces gummy worm tasting like fruit scale, I don't know how you may call it. So the gummy worm tree produces these hands, we call them hands, but they produce these hands, and when they're ripe, they will fall down, and the outer skin or the outer layer of these hands is what everybody will eat, and they say it has the texture and the taste of a gummy worm. However, I have never tasted this tree and most likely will never taste this tree because the skin kind of grosses me out. However, I know that my business partner and her kids actually came through and ate them, and they say that they verified it. So this is a very cool, exotic, rare fruit tree to see, because you won't see this everywhere. And this is super cool because we're actually gonna be trying, I'll say try, because I don't know if it'll be a huge success, to try to replicate some of these gummy worm trees and sell them here at Flow Grown Farm Nursery. So I'll keep you guys posted on how we do on these, but they're low maintenance, easy to grow. They are perfect if you have kids. They're just a perfect fruit snack in general, like all of the fruit trees on this list. So that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Those are my top picks of some of the best fruits to grow in Southern Florida, as well as don't get this list as limited to only Southern Florida. But if you see a tree you see here that you see that there's possibilities of it growing in your area, do some research and get one, because these are all prolific performing, low maintenance, easy to grow fruit trees. So thank you all so much for watching, and may God bless you and your entire family, and never forget to grow big, ultimate gardeners. Bye everyone.